Final Fantasy XIV is a massive game with thousands of hours of content. What I'm going to do here is break down some of the major plot points for those of you who want to know more about Eorzea, but may not have time to experience it all firsthand. Today, we're tackling the story of the Red Mage. The story begins in Ul'dah when the Warrior of Light runs across a child in distress. Some people tried to kidnap her and her sister, but she managed to get away. Being the hero that you are, you agree to help rescue her sister. Someone else was also on their way to attempt a rescue, but there were 6 attackers, so he'd probably be horribly outnumbered, so you hurry to give your support. Your help isn't needed, however, as a Makode dressed in red with a sword wielding strange magic makes short work of the men. He introduces himself as Tia, and the two of you escort the girl back to Ul'dah. The kids thank you both before heading home, and to celebrate your successful job, you and Eorzea head to get a drink. He recognizes your name from a girl named Eorzea who he had ran into and was convinced to teach the arts of a Red Mage. She took a while, but by the time they parted ways, she was skilled at combining fencing with the arcane arts. Since your friend did it, he offers to teach you as well. However, his teaching method is more hands-on, and you will travel around with him to help people you find in need. Pretty much what you do anyway as an adventurer, so you gladly accept. Donning the garb of a Red Mage, Eorzea begins by telling you the history of his order. During the 6th Umbral era 1500 years ago, 2 magic-wielding civilizations fought, bringing about the 6th Umbral calamity. People fled into the mountains of Giribania to avoid the devastating floods and waves of destruction that altered the very lands. Even some mages from Ma'ak and Amdapor who weren't part of the fighting hid among the refugees. The others blamed these mages and sought to get revenge on them, causing them to stop practicing black and white magic altogether. But magic in some form would be needed to help rebuild the world after the calamity, so the former students of white and black magic merged their teachings, creating the Red Mages, who focused on balancing astral and umbral ether. After the history lesson, Eorzea believes it's time for you to find who had sent the kidnappers after the girl so you can get some field practice with red magic. So the two of you head to the Church of Saint Adama Landama to start asking some questions. The leader of the church, Iliad, knows of a few mage cults that may fit the description, making me wonder just what kinds of people he hangs out with. But he needs to know more about the attackers if he's going to help. Eorzea reveals that not only did the attackers not say a word, they all had a glowing magical tattoo. Iliad knows of the practice. It is a curse that turns the marked people into mindless puppets. They can't be saved once marked, so it's crucial that you hunt down those who's doing it. Eorzea tells him to see what he can find before telling you to do a bit of stretching since he senses something outside. Members of the group you were hunting seem to be hunting you, so it's time for you to get your first bit of field experience as a Red Mage. The Cabal goes to great lengths to kill you, even summoning powerful Void Sin, but they're no match for the two of you. After the battle, you study the fallen mages. All of them were young, which angers Eorzea even more, and he heads back to the church. Red magic was made to stop the abuse of magic. To keep the wielders from growing too reliant on the power, the rules forbade them from drawing on any ether but their own to fuel their spells, while other mages used the ether of the land for power. To augment this, the mages trained their bodies and learned sword techniques that would enhance their spells, all to defend those who would be harmed by rogue mages. Eorzea learned red magic 20 years ago when he joined the revolutionaries in Alamigo, where they formed the Crimson Duelists. They fought King Theodric and were a force to be reckoned with until all but Eorzea were killed, leaving Alamigo in the hands of the Garleans. Later, when he learned of the coming calamity, Eorzea joined the Sharlayan scholars to help prevent it. Even though he was on the losing side again, he still fights for the weak. He only told you all of this because he wanted you to understand the man who you decided to follow. A little while later, the two of you speak with Father Iliad, who has found a bit of info on your attackers. A while back, a merchant and his son were murdered, and while the perpetrators were never caught, evidence showed that they were killed by magic and were natives of Alamigo, just like the father of the girls you saved, which leads Eorzea to believe that the true target wasn't the kids, but their father. The two of you head to speak to Wilkin, the girl's father, to make sure he's safe just in case the Cabal attacks again. Iliad learned that he's delivering stock to the Gold Saucer, so you take a trip to the Gambler's Paradise. You spot Wilkin talking to a man that Eorzea recognizes from the Alamigan resistance, but instead of trying to guess why they were talking, you simply ask him. Iliad already gave Wilkin a rundown of the situation, but after seeing who he's talking to, Eorzea believes he's being targeted since he's funneling money into the Alamigan resistance. Truth be told, a lot of Alamigan refugees work at the Saucer, and a few are part of the resistance. Wilkin didn't personally know the merchant and son who were killed, but he knew that the man helped the resistance in the same way that he does, making Eorzea think that the Garleans are behind the attacks. Although Garleans can't use magic, they aren't against hiring assassins who can. Wilken's next bit of business is in Vesper Bay, which is a good place to get ambushed, so it's likely the Cabal will attack him then. To prevent it, the two of you offer yourselves as bodyguards. To guarantee an attack, Exrune has Wilken tell far more people than normal about his trip, so the two of you check the most logical ambush sites, and sure enough, more of the mind control soldiers are waiting for you. They fall easily, but Exrune lets one escape so you can see where he goes. He goes to follow him while you make sure Wilken's safe. He's unharmed, so you go to meet Exrune. The Cabal member he chased fled on a boat with other people, so a bit of work identifying the ship should help you find out where it went and who paid for it. With a call to his contacts in the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, Exrune seems to be as famous as the Warrior of Light. He finds out that the assassin's ship has been spotted in Elport. The two of you head to the port and begin poking around for clues. There are a lot of rumors around the ship, enough to get the Yellowjackets, part of the Lamensen military, involved with keeping an eye on them. But since they haven't been caught breaking any laws, they have no grounds to search the ship. Since neither of you are part of the military, there's no order stopping you from checking out a bit of their cargo just to see if they're hiding any contraband. You open a box and find a girl inside of it. If that's not illegal, then I don't know what is. She doesn't know how she got in the box, but she thinks her name is Arya. Exrune thinks the girl may have been kidnapped and you should get her away from there as soon as possible, but his face terrifies her. You let her know that he's okay and only looks vicious. An obvious lie to anybody who's seen him fight, but Arya takes you at your word and you all get a room to discuss what to do next. Arya falls asleep and Exrune lets you know that he found other things in the boxes that caused the Yellowjackets to launch a full-scale investigation, but the assassins fled before they could be caught. As for Arya, he smelt something on her breath that could have made her lose her memory, which led him to believe that they were about to brand her with one of those mind-controlling runes once they shipped her wherever they had planned to take her. Now you just have to wait for her memory to come back to find out who captured her. A bit of time passes, but Arya's memories still haven't returned, so you take her around to see if familiar sights may jog her memory. Staring out at the ships makes her remember her uncle being her only family, but she can't really piece the memories together, so you head back to the inn to give her time to sort through them. Exrune managed to get information on Arya from the Yellowjackets, but with her memory returning, she begins to fill in the blanks for you. She lived with her uncle after her parents died. They were leaving Limsa Lamensa one day when people appeared out of thin air and attacked her. Her uncle tried to save her, but they killed him. Everything after that is a blur. With no family left, Arya wants to come with you and help on your hunt. Exrune agrees, but he still doesn't know where to look. Arya, however, remembers her kidnappers talking about the Isles of Umbra, so you head there. The Maelstrom soldiers say that a lot of weird people have been coming to the Isles, all of them fitting the descriptions of the mind-controlled puppets the Cabal uses. Exrune gave Arya a weapon just in case she needs to fight, but she's so jumpy from all the stuff on the island that it's doubtful she'll be able to do anything with it. You all fight your way past skeletons and the mind-controlled members of the Cabal until you arrive on the beach where the mages sacrifice themselves to summon a voidsent. With it taken down, you split up to hunt down the leader of the group who has to be nearby. While you search for him, he finds you, sensing the energy that flows through you. He gets ready to attack, but Exrune shows up. Surprisingly, he knows the man. His name is Lambard, and he's a former member of the Crimson Duelists. He's also the traitor who had helped murder the others. He plans on finishing off Exrune here and now, but Arya launches a fireball at him, causing him to retreat. Arya asks if he knew the man, but Exrune is more curious about where she learned to do magic. When he had given her the staff, he'd expected her to hit people with it, not channel ether to throw actual magic. Of course, she has no idea where she learned it, but at least it was useful. You all return to Elport quickly because Lambard is not someone you want to fight unprepared. Back in the city, Exrune tells you the full story of how he came to know the leader of the Cabal. 20 years ago, the two of them were part of the group who started the Crimson Duelists, but one day Lambard went crazy and killed the others while Exrune was away. It was only later that he had learned that the Empire had hired him to do it, which still didn't explain why he was willing to turn on his friends in the first place. After not seeing the man for 20 years, he had thought he was dead. Now that he knows he's alive, he plans to hunt him down, but he won't ask you to help him settle a personal debt. Of course, you and Arya won't let him do this alone. Arya even wants to learn red magic so she won't be a burden to you anymore. Exrune actually thinks it's a good idea and gets Arya the uniform of the Red Mages before the three of you set off to hunt Lambard. The Cabal seems to have given up on Wilken after all of the assassins you've cost him, so Exrune had a friend in Limsa looking for other signs of the Cabal's activities, so that's your next stop. His informant's name is Rio, a member of the company of heroes that you met on another adventure. He found out that Lambert is getting his orders from the Imperial base Castrum Meridianum. The plan is to head to Castrum and find information on Lambert's next target while someone causes a distraction. Naturally, you will be the decoy. Despite having only a bit of practice in red magic, Arya's destructive power is immense, but this is her first actual battle, so X-Room wants her to stay close to him until they get inside, especially since her healing abilities are practically non-existent. You make quite the distraction, giving your friends free reign of the facility. They get what they need, but it'll be smart to discuss it somewhere else before reinforcements arrive. What they found confirms that the Cabal kidnaps young people with great magical potential like Arya and take them to Lambert, who turns them into puppets with his curse sigil. It was made on the Empire's orders to hunt down members of the Alamegan resistance who operated outside of the Empire's reach under the orders of Prince Xenos. If you haven't encountered him yet in the story, just know that he's a crazy super warrior who hands the Warrior of Light their first serious defeat in one-on-one combat. Lambert's complete disregard for human life is what probably made Xenos want to work with him in the first place, since like minds tend to stick together, and Xenos is about the most violent person they have. The next target that Xenos wants Lambert to hit is the Garland Ironworks, the company run by your good friend Sid, who has been sharing engineering secrets with the Alamegan resistance. They're not going after Sid himself, but Jesse, Sid's second in command, who runs pretty much everything while he's off handling other projects. Something happening to her would cripple Sid's operations, and Lambert has been given permission to do whatever it takes to get the job done. So either you stop him, or he will throw the vast resources at his disposal at Jesse until he eliminates her. Jesse is getting ready to make a delivery to the Resistance, so an attack is likely to come before she makes it to her airship docked on the outskirts of Revenant's Toll. With planning and Jesse's help, you should be able to ambush the ambushers, so you go to discuss your plans with Jesse herself. She's pretty nonchalant about the idea of someone murdering her, and she doesn't mind being used to draw out her attackers, although X-Room doesn't want to expose her knowing how dangerous Lambert is. Arya comes up with the brilliant idea to dress up as Jesse since they are close to the same size, and from a distance with a little work, no one will be the wiser. With Arya's disguise in place, you act as a bodyguard on the path to the airship to deal with the assassins who take the bait. X-Room will head around the back to intercept the assassins meant to flank you from the south. If the disguise is going to work, Arya can't go around tossing magic at people, so you have to make sure she's safe alone until Lambert shows himself. After you deal with a few of his men, Lambert does join the battle. He doesn't seem to care that he was tricked even when X-Room appears to help you deal with him. He wants to make him pay for what he's done, but before that, he demands to know why Lambert turned on his friends and joined the Empire in the first place. Lambert's reasons weren't all that complicated. He wanted power. He found a way to wield red magic at an even greater level without being consumed by the corruption that the predecessors feared. It was difficult, and he had to spend years in a magical sleep to evolve his body so it could wield red magic while drawing energy from outside sources instead of simply using his own ether to fuel his spells. He had killed the other duelists as the first step on his journey to absolute power. Enraged, X-Room prepares to attack. Red energy swirls into Lambert, turning his hair red and boosting his power, but X-Room still proves to be the better fighter and gets the upper hand. However, the small scratch that Lambert managed to make allows him to start siphoning off X-Room's life force. As a side effect of his new powers, he has to consume life energy. Xenos allows him to feed to his heart's content, as long as he's killing the Empire's enemies. X-Room orders you and Arya to run away, but there was no way either of you would do that. The two of you battle the former Crimson Duelist, and despite him draining massive amounts of ether from you, he cannot best the pair of you. His soul-stealing power only works if you have open wounds, and sealing your injuries with magic dampens his gift. With his dying words, Lambert hints that there is something strange about Arya, and she may be the thing that leads to your death. For now, she seems fine, and you all head back to Revenant's Toll to inform Jesse of your success, and to celebrate both your victory and your growth as Red Mages. This concludes the Heavensward portion of the Red Mage storyline. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on the next story.